Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Talking Sam. And with me today, it is such a pleasure to have YouTuber extraordinaire, content creator. She is not your average fangirl. She's the one and only Elijah DeJesus. Elijah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I appreciate the invitation to be here.
Absolutely. I have to say, when I first saw your channel, it was kind of such a fun thing to see new reactors, because when you see reactors on YouTube, it's kind of like same thing, going through the same shows, same how you say, same emotions that they do for the
Mhm.
shows. Like, oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, that's fun. But with you, you put your emotion on your sleeve and you give such a raw and an emotional reaction to each show that you do. And to me, I just feel like that's such a rare and unique thing that others don't do.
Ah, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like it's definitely a good representation of how I am in my day-to-day life. I'm very passionate about the things that I love, and I can kind of agree because I actually watched reactors before I got into it. And so I saw that and I was like, hey, well, I can do this. I think I've got some energy I can put out there. And thankfully, people actually liked me and they didn't find me annoying. So it worked out. It's a win-win. I enjoy it. It's fun, and I like that other people can have fun with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one thing about your channel is that you like to have fun, and that go to your channel also have fun. But before we get to all that, we're gonna go from the very beginning
Ooh.
with you, because you're not just a YouTuber, you're not just a artist, you're also a singer. You're also an actor in the very
Yes.
beginning. Um, I was just say, what was kind of like your starting point when you were starting acting? Because I've seen your reels. You were on Ugly Betty. You did private practice. You did a couple
Yeah.
movies, The Unfallen, Pearl. What was kind of your jumping point when you're beginning?
I was actually very, very young. There's even home footage of me at like 4 years old, loving being
Oh
on
wow.
camera and loving just entertaining in general. That's something that's
Hmm.
definitely been with me since I was a child, and has never really changed. Even when we would have like family parties or reunions, I would always like put some socks on my hands and put on a puppet show. Or I started learning how to play snare drum, so I would perform for everybody. And then I got into the singing, and then I would start singing for everybody. And it's like I just really thoroughly enjoy entertaining people, making people laugh, making people just feel good or just be entertained. And it's just something that's been with me since I was little. And so I got to the age of about 11. It was like 10 or 11 where there was an agency signing up kids at one of the large malls that was located in my hometown at the time, and they were looking for young talent. And I saw that and I was like, Mom, please sign me up. I want to do it. I want to do this. And my parents didn't really think too much of it at first because, oh,
Hmm.
all kids want to be on TV.
Right.
They just thought it'd be a phase. But then weeks went by and I just kept pestering my mom. I was like, Mom, please call them. I want to do it. I was not giving it up. And so she's like, okay, well, what harm can it do? We'll try it. We'll sign you up. And so they had us audition for the agency, and they gave us, it was like me and a room full of other like little kids. And
Hmm.
they just gave us this like Colgate toothpaste commercial to do, like
Oh,
monologue. They
okay.
they gave us like half an hour to study it, and then they had us perform it. And um they had a handful of us stay, and then the rest were invited to leave. And then those of us who stayed, we were invited to be signed on to, well, actually, no, correction, sorry, we were actually invited to start taking these acting classes and courses that they offered. And they said, like, after a period of time, I think it was either like a month or so,
Uh-huh.
they wanted us to perform a monologue for the owner, or the I guess she was the owner of the agency, and then she would ultimately decide who she would sign on. And so I did it, and I took the classes, I studied this monologue, and I performed it for her, and she absolutely loved it. She signed me on, and then they advised us to attend this talent competition in New York called IMTA.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's a very, very large talent competition, but it's for all kinds of talent. So it's a competition for models, for dancers, for singers, for actors. And it was huge. And I actually won 4 awards
Oh, wow.
at that competition. Yeah. And so I did very well. I stayed with the agent, but then from our trip to New York for the talent competition, I actually met a manager and a new agent, and they wanted me to fly out to California to sign on with them and do actual, like, on screen work. So long story short, we did. I moved to Cali. I started working in shows and movies, and also commercials. The commercials aren't really listed on my credits, but they're there. I did like a Cartoon Network commercial. I've done a couple music videos.
Okay.
And yeah, so I kind of did that throughout the years. As I got older, I started getting into the singing around like 18, I want to say, professionally.
Hmm.
Did that for a bit, and then I'm still kind of doing the singing, but I don't really pursue it as a profession. I kind of do it more for fun. And now that I have an audience that's willing to listen to my content, I kind of do it more for them, since I like to do queer representation, and I feel like, hey, we need more queer songs out there, and
Right.
more queer music videos. I actually have 2 new songs that are ready. I'm going to be releasing one of them in the summer, and then hopefully filming the music video for that later this year. And then
Oh,
next
nice.
year I will release the second song. But that's more for fun now. I definitely enjoy it more as a fun hobby than a profession. It got a little stressful when you chase it as a profession.
Mm.
And yeah, so long story short, I mean, it was pretty much just something I always wanted to do, and I was lucky and fortunate enough to have the opportunity to actually do it.
That's awesome. Do you feel like you've always been a natural performer and entertainer from, like you said, having those homemade videos when you were young all the way up to those auditions in New York? Do you always felt like, yeah, I'm here to entertain the mass people around me, no matter what, whether it be a small crowd or a crowd of thousands? Do you feel?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely would say that, because there's a joy that I get from it. There's this really warm, fuzzy, energized, just joyful feeling that I get from it. I love, especially making people laugh. I love when people can find what I do funny, or get a smile out of it. It just,
Right.
I don't know, it does something for me. I really enjoy it, and I really do think maybe I'm just here to do that, to entertain people. So whether, like you said, it's a small couple people, or it's thousands of a large crowd, then yeah, I'm all for it. I just I like it. It's fun.
That's awesome. So now you're moving to LA. You're starting off. You're acting. How old were you when you were starting off there?
Well, when I signed on with the agent in Pennsylvania, which is where I'm originally from,
Hmm.
I was about 9 to 10. I think I was like turning 10.
Okay.
And then by the time I was doing the competitions, and then we moved out to Cali, I was about 11.
Okay. And now
Yeah.
at that age, what kind of mindset did you had to put on yourself heading over there when you're going for auditions or just reading the scripts from anyone who says, "Hey, here you go, give us a read, see
Hmm.
how you do." It was like, what was your mindset at that time? Again, you're 11, have pretty much no idea what the world is.
Mhm.
What what kind of mindset did you have to put yourself in? What advice were you given?
That's actually a really good question, because at first, and I don't think it helped that I was at a very impressionable age when I
Mm.
started to do the auditions, because at first it was something really fun and something I really enjoyed. But I'll be honest, especially when you're young, it's very quickly can become toxic, in a
Yeah.
sense that um that you have that sense of competition, and then when you don't get something, you're kind of beating yourself up, and kind of you start comparing yourself to all these other girls that look just like you, or all this other talent that you see around you, and all these things are happening for them but nothing's happening for you. And so I think because I was like in that preteen and then teenage years, it definitely affected me more in a negative way, or
Hmm.
it gradually started to.
Okay.
Because at first it was just fun. It was just
Right.
fun for me, and I just would brush things off my shoulder. But
Hmm.
again, I think once puberty started, you kind of start getting all the negative thoughts in your head as well, and your
Oh,
hormones are
sweet,
all over
sweet
the
old
place.
puberty.
Yeah, right. It's like, so it kind of got um just not as enjoyable for me for a minute.
Mm.
It was about my teenage years where I actually stopped doing it, because I wasn't having fun anymore.
Uh,
And it wasn't the actual work. Like, I loved being on set until this day. I love being on a set. There's just something about it, something about the vibe, the energy. I adore being on sets. I would actually cry on the last days of filming because I enjoyed it so much. But the audition process, and then also as you start getting older, you know, your agents and your managers want you to attend a lot of these parties and
mhm.
events. And, you know, for me, I didn't, I started to not enjoy that either because they wanted to doll me up and they always wanted to straighten my
Ah,
hair. They didn't like my curly hair for some odd reason.
really?
Yeah, they didn't want me to have it. They kept straight. They always told me I had to keep my hair straight, which is ridiculous. And I had to be posting about makeup and high fashion and showing up in dresses and heels, which is very much not me.
Right.
So then that kind of also came into play, that it felt like I was being changed and morphed into somebody I wasn't. And I didn't like that. And I kept telling, you know, I was like screaming at the top of my lungs, not literally, but just I kept saying, I don't feel like I have to do these things to become successful. But they kept forcing it down my throat, saying that, no, you do, you do. And, you know, me and my parents, we were very impressionable. We had no idea and no clue about the industry. So we would just go along with what we thought were the right moves, because my
Right.
parents were absolutely supportive. They dropped their whole lives to come support me in Cali, and you know, they were the best parents. But they also didn't know much about the industry, and so I feel like maybe the people we worked with kind of took advantage of that,
Mm,
which is unfortunate, but it does happen a lot.
right. Yeah.
And yeah, so I just started to not like it, and then it's nice now, and I'll be honest, it's kind of nice to maybe dig a little bit at them and be like, look, see, now I am, you know, doing my own thing the way I always said I could, and
Yeah.
still have an audience, and it is working, and people like me for me. And you know, I didn't have to, and I don't have to be this fake facade, you know, of fashion and makeup, and you know, oh, my hair is not curly, it's straight, and all these things. It's like I'm happier now that I get to do what I love, and by being myself. And I actually do hope that maybe, if you know, when my channel continues to grow, that I could get maybe acting opportunities sent my way or auditions and stuff. But this time I can just be me. I don't have to be what they wanted me to be, you know?
No, no, definitely. And we can really tell that you being yourself is what really brings people to your channel. It's the I don't want to say the attractive thing, but or not that word per se, but it's very appealing. It's appealing. It's very appealing. Go to your channel and see how authentic you are. You're
Thank you.
yourself. You're not trying to, like you said, put on a facade, trying to put on a face or whatever. It's like you're you.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable. It's like you said, it's entertaining. Using that word again.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, absolutely. When you first got on those guest roles that you got on for Ugly Betty and
Mm.
Private Practice, what was that feeling like when you first got those? When you first got that call saying, "Hey, we want you to come in, do this part." It was both for just one episode, right?
Yes, yeah. So the Ugly Betty was actually my first job ever. That was the
Oh,
first
okay.
gig I ever booked in my life, and that one is very interesting that you asked that. That one is actually a mixed emotion reaction, because my at the time my grandfather, on my dad's side, had unfortunately just had a stroke,
Oh,
and we had literally just parked at the hospital parking garage to go visit him in the
oh man.
hospital when we got the call that I booked it.
Oh my God.
So we were literally sitting in the car just looking at each other like, oh my God, this is amazing, but oh my God, my grandfather is, you know, he might pass away tonight. How do we feel? So that one was a very, very mixed emotion experience. I was definitely excited. I mean, we were all excited, but at the same time, it was just complicated. We weren't really sure how to feel, but it was definitely awesome. And then when I actually did the filming, oh man, what a great experience that was. It was phenomenal. And the cast was great. America Ferrera was very sweet. Um, and it was just a great time. It was a great experience on set. And then Private Practice, luckily, nothing tragic had happened. And that call was actually really cool because they informed us that they had actually hired a different girl for my role.
Oh
And
wow.
they had filmed with her for like 2 days, but then something happened and
Mm-hmm.
she was no longer cast for that role. And so I was the runner up. And then
Oh.
that's why they called me, and they're like, hey, well, now you have it. So we're going to reshoot all these scenes with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll take it. And worked out.
Hey, that's actually pretty fun, awesome story with that private practice one right there. So
Right.
here's everything we filmed. Oh, the girl dropped out. All right, let's do it all again. Let's
Yep.
call this one in.
Yep, and that's how they will do it too. That's why they always say, even when you have a role, it's never officially secure. You know, you always got to behave on
Mhm.
set, so to speak. And
Oh,
some
wow.
people, it gets to their head and they'll act a certain way, and then they get
Mm.
fired, and then they're like, "Oh no, what happened?" It's like, well, yeah, you can't act like that.
Okay.
I'm not
And
saying that's what happened with the girl. Until this day, I don't know what happened, but that's just something that does happen.
right. Absolutely, yeah. We've heard all the stories with other
Yeah.
any other. It could. Who knows? It could have been. You
Yeah,
never
who
know.
knows? I will never know.
Now, from there, you then started off doing a film called Pearl in 2010.
Mm.
What was that experience like, going from a
Oh.
couple shows into a major film like Pearl?
Actually, Pearl was the second thing I ever booked. Private practice came after Pearl.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so that was huge. That was like the biggest excitement of my life. To be cast not only in a movie, a feature film, but to be the main lead actress, and it's your
Hmm.
second job ever. And it was cool because originally they were actually going to hire two different actresses. They were going to hire a girl to play Pearl in her younger years, and then hire a
Oh,
different girl to play her in her older years, because the
okay.
movie takes place during her lifetime during her aviation lifetime experience.
Hmm.
And so the movie takes place between the ages of when she's 11 to 18, or 12 to 18, something like that.
Okay.
So when I auditioned, I was originally going for younger Pearl, but they liked me so much, they actually flew me to Texas then to audition again in front of the director and try to convince him that I could also play the older role. And so I did, and he liked me, and they decided to book me for the whole entire role. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was freaking amazing. And I loved it. And it was crazy because if you actually look up her younger photos, we look alike, which is trippy. Um,
I got some more homework to do now.
yeah, so she was a real person. Her name was Scott, and she was the youngest licensed pilot in aviation history.
Mhm.
There's records of her, but she didn't get as popular as Amelia Earhart because she was half Chickasaw Indian, or half Chickasaw Native
Mm,
American. They used the term Indian back in the day. I guess in today's term, you would refer to her as
Native American.
Chickasaw Native
Oh, Chickasaw.
American.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because like she was one of the only other people to fly the Winnie Mae, which was Wiley Post's well famous and well renowned airplane.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so the movie is about her aviation story and experience, and it was amazing. I even got to meet her real life kids, who
Oh,
yeah, they gave them roles in the film in the background, and uh, they're a lot older now, but it was a nice touching moment because her eldest son, I believe, um, looked at me on set the one day. He just said, he was like holding my shoulders, and he just called me mama, which was such a trippy moment. And
oh man.
he was like, oh my God, you look so much like her. I was like, cool. But they were like the sweetest thing. And then I got to meet her grandkids and great grandchild. And yeah, it was just an amazing, amazing experience. We spent a whole month filming that movie in Oklahoma. And yeah, I would do it all over again if I could. The cast and the crew, we all became a family, and it was just so much fun. It was such a great experience.
Ah, man, that's really awesome story to hear. When
Thanks.
you, you're welcome. When you get that, when you win over the director,
Hmm.
when you pretty much say, hey, I know you want two, but you could get me for the price of one,
Yeah.
and and you go full head, you do all the research and everything. What kind of the homework you had to do when you were looking up the person for the main movie?
uh, I'll be honest, I didn't do any homework. I
Oh man.
My dad actually did some research on her and found her story fascinating, but I was this little like 13-year-old, just little hyperactive kid who didn't do well with studying. So I didn't really learn anything about her. I'll be honest, until afterward, because then I learned more about her on set, and then I was
Okay.
intrigued by her story and kind of did my research then. But I think it's funny because the director actually told me he knew exactly which moment it was that he knew I would play her, and it was that before I had even did the audition for him, they called me into his room, and he was like, this tough and intimidating looking guy. He's like a 6-something foot African American man. He had braids. He had
Right.
these on. He's like, fairly large inside, and I'm this like scrawny little 13-year-old girl. And he's like sitting in his chair, his feet up on his in his desk or whatever. He's just looking cool. He's just looking badass. And I walk in and I'm like, hi, like, what's up? And so he sits me down. He's like, hi, I'm King. His name was King too.
Oh my God.
So yeah, his name was actually King.
No way.
And then it was great because then of course he turns out to be like the biggest teddy bear. And, I would heartbeat. But he's all serious and he's like, so thank you for coming here. I just wanted to let you know that you have been casted as younger Pearl for sure. And I start crying because that was huge for me. I mean, this was my second job ever, and I'm getting cast in a feature film as the lead. And so I start tearing up and stuff, and I'm thanking him, and he goes, but, and I was like, oh, and he goes, I'm still not convinced that you can play older Pearl. So what I brought you here today to do, and they also brought in the guy who ended up playing my husband in the movie. That's a whole other thing. He says, I brought you here so that you can, perform an audition in front of me and do a chemistry read with the guy we're thinking about casting. He's like, and I need you to convince me that you can play older Pearl. And so I stood up. I wiped my tears. I stood up from my chair and I said, bring it. And he said in that moment, he knew I was Pearl because that is exactly how she was.
Oh, wow.
He said I didn't even have to audition. The second I did that, he already knew. He didn't tell me that, but he told me that afterward. He still
You can
had
see
me
in
do
his
the
eyes.
audition.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I knew right away. He's like, you were Pearl. He's like, that was Pearl all day.
Oh man, that that is so cool. You just as big and like you said, intimidating as he was, he dripped that intimidation of just that coolness. You didn't back down. You just stood up as big as you can and just brought that same energy back to him. That's really cool. And again, you're still bringing that today in your channel.
Yeah, that's something that I've always had in me. I definitely have always had that spunk, I guess you can say. And I like the challenge. And I'm definitely a person that I don't like when someone says I can't do something because then my response is always watch me. I don't let anybody tell me I can't do something. And so it's I think it's a nice attitude to have, don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Absolutely. No, definitely. That's very the Latina in you.
Yeah, for sure.
From this movie, then you go on to do Unfallen, which researching it, it's a very interesting movie that was made with some really big names, Michael Madsen, James Hong. What was kind of your role in that one?
It's funny. I got to meet James Hong doing that because I played his assistant in the film. Yeah, it was an independent film. I actually don't even remember how I got the role, to be honest. I think one of my friends was working on the crew and they needed somebody to play the assistant. So I was James Hong's assistant in that movie, and it was fun. It was really cool. I knew who James Hong was, so I was really excited to meet him. And he's really cool. Like, I was surprised, he was just a lot more laid back than I was anticipating. And it was a good experience. It was really cool. It was an honor getting to meet him. And then I got to see him again, I think at the premiere, and kind of got to talk with him then too. And just cool dude. It was pretty fun.
Man, that is so awesome. That is really awesome to hear. From Unfallen, your acting kind of started slowing down. Did you decide to really step back away from it and just focus on other projects and like singing and songwriting, or?
Yeah. So in between those projects, the Cartoon Network commercial came in, and then some of the music videos I was a part of also came in. But other than that, I got into the point where I kind of wanted to just focus on school, finish high school. And then it was about at the end of high school to after high school when I kind of decided to get into the singing, which is a completely different world than the acting world for sure. So I took some years to kind of learn that, try to get into it. Unfortunately, I ended up with just, some more bad experiences and working with some other
Mm.
people who just didn't really work out, and took advantage. And it was just a not so great experience, pun intended. um, and yeah, so then I kind of dropped that just because I got so discouraged with it. But then I took a good couple years to kind of pick myself up again because I was feeling low. It's like
Hmm.
all the stuff kind of that I really loved and was passionate about kind of got ruined for me, at least at that point in my life. And it took me a bit to kind of just be a person and, not have to worry about any of that stuff. And I was working 3 jobs at one point, trying to pay off all the debt I got into because of the previous singing stuff.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, it was crazy. I was working 3 days at one job, 4 days at the other, and then after work, all those days I would also edit for YouTubers. Um, and so it was an experience, but I finally got to the point then where I was in a much healthier mindset, and I decided to start making content again for fun, which I always enjoyed doing. And it has gradually led to, the channel today. And I'm glad I did it. I get to do my own thing now and I'm completely happy in it. And I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to be anybody but myself. And yeah, it's been nice.
Man, that's really great to hear. That's very inspirational if you really think about it.
No, thanks.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Going now, migrating to your channel,
Hmm.
going to the very beginning, you started off just doing like these tribute videos to the movie Pitch Perfect and a couple other things. What was kind of like what was the nudge for you saying, hey, let me try this out, let me try this editing thing while trying to live a normal life doing those 3 to 4 jobs a day?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's the reason why I've actually kept those Pitch Perfect videos up because I always want to remind myself of my start.
Mm,
Because Pitch Perfect will always have a soft spot in my heart because Pitch Perfect was the whole reason I even got into fandoms. Like I wasn't aware of any of this stuff until I was at a low point in my life and I really liked the movie Pitch Perfect, which
hmm.
also ironically helped me figure out my sexuality. So that was kind of
Okay.
connected to that as well because I was a huge shipper of Becca and Chloe once I figured out like being gay was a thing. Um because growing up it just wasn't present in my world in my life,
Right.
so I didn't, and it's not like we had media back in the day to watch that had it. So it was
True.
just a fresh new concept to me, but it's funny because now when I think back on my childhood, there's a lot that makes sense. But yeah, so I actually started with Tumblr,
Oh, okay.
and through Tumblr, I learned fandoms and all the terminology that comes with it. Ships and canon and fanfics. I didn't even know what fanfics were. Like all of these things, kind of like I felt I discovered a whole new world, and I loved it. So I started getting into that. When Vine was still a thing, I started making vines because I always liked, taking footage and timing it to music and all that good stuff because I would always edit for fun. And doing all of those AMVs kind of also helped me master my editing skills because I'm self taught, and it was because I just did all this stuff as fun projects.
Right.
Um, and so it started with that. Gradually, when Vine died, I started posting all my AMVs to Instagram and continued them over there. And then my longer ones I would just post on YouTube, because there was like a time limit for Vine and Instagram at the time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, after being on YouTube for a while, getting into these other shows, like I started watching reactions to The Legend of Korra and Steven Universe.
Hmm.
And watching other reactors is kind of what really inspired me to give it a shot myself. And when I first started, I only decided to start reacting to Owl House, which was only airing once a week. So I was only really putting up a video once a week. So it fit well into my work schedule because I would just kind of do it whenever I had the time. But then eventually, once the channel started to grow traction, I was able to start monetizing. And then eventually, I was able to quit at least one of the jobs and keep the other two, which gave me more
Okay.
time to then post like twice a week, which was cool. And then gradually the channel grew even more. I was able to quit the second job, which was awesome. And then I was just editing for YouTubers and then doing my own channel. And then finally it got to the point where I was able to drop the third job, and now I'm just YouTuber full time.
And that's awesome. Now, are you still doing like that freelance editing for other YouTubers, or are you just focusing on your own?
No, yeah, now I just don't even have the time. Once I
Right.
dropped the clients that I had, I just went full my own channel and decided to take the leap and just do it. And it's worked out. And I always thank the NSAF community so much, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have a channel. So, and I wouldn't have a job. um, but it's nice because now I get to just do me. I work for myself, and I get to just make fun stuff to share with people that like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do have a fan base. You do have a following that a lot of people love.
They are the best.
All those incels. I mean, they like to follow.
The passion is amazing. It's really, really cool to see.
That's awesome. You mentioned them, the Owl House being the first reaction that you started.
Yep.
It's very understated for me to say that's probably your favorite show to watch.
Yeah. Definitely. Now it definitely grew to be my favorite for sure.
Yeah, and I remember talking to Rebecca Rose, the production associate on the show, a
Hmm.
week back. I was just letting her know that watching your channel and others, seeing the emotion, the raw reaction, seeing how much you guys loving the show, it's
Hmm.
just so it's amazing that
Oh
this
yeah.
show is able to bring so much raw, authentic, real, again, emotion. I'm saying that word so many times,
Yeah.
but it's
No,
for
it's
real. It's
true.
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
what is the show has now that we got it in full? What does the
Mhm.
show has meant to you as a whole?
Oh man. As a whole, it's amazing. Besides the phenomenal storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
the designs, the colors, the characters, the originality, I think one of the major things for me is how well it did and how important and powerful it was and is when it comes to positive, genuine, just overall good representation of members in the LGBTQIA plus community.
Mm-hmm.
We got a non-binary character. We got a lead bi character who is also Afro Latina. We got her girlfriend who is a lead lesbian character. We got, it wasn't said in the show, but Dana confirmed Hunter is canon bi,
Yeah.
and Willow is canon pan, and we got Willow's dads who we got to see that good gay representation. It was just so well done, and I'm so thankful and grateful that a show like that exists, especially to not only reach adults and the kids that are still existing in us adults, but to also then reach the younger generation and be able to show them and give them the comfort and representation they deserve that we never got when we were their age. Um, and again, it's just the way it was done. It was just brilliant. It was so well done. And even with the show getting cut short, they still knocked it out of the
Yep.
park.
They.
And yeah, and the music. Oh, I didn't even talk about the
Oh
music. It's just
man.
so freaking good, and you could just tell that so much love was put into it, so much hard work. The cast and crew, their energy definitely came through in it. Dana's energy definitely came through, and her creativity and leadership skills. It's just an amazing show overall, and personally too, it means a lot to me because again, it really kicked off my channel and really shoved it into the success that it is today. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm very thankful and grateful for the Owl House and everything it represents.
Definitely. And one of the best things I like about this fandom
Hmm.
that you see in a lot of other fandoms where
Yeah.
it can get real toxic real fast, i.e., the
Yep.
DC, Marvel, the Star. Don't get me started on Star Wars now, because that one can get, as much as I love it, the fans
Yep.
in it, they like to play. They like to play gatekeeper, and who are you? You don't need to be gatekeeper. Get out of here. There's no need to be gatekeeping in Star Wars. And the thing about Owl House, it's still in its infant years of the fandom.
Hmm.
So far, it's been very accepting and open, and yeah, there'll be criticism, and every show will have
Yeah.
criticism.
Yep.
It's That's going to be the nature of the beast. But
Yep.
it's open criticism where we can have that open discussion and talk about it.
Yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
yeah, and it's as much there's stuff that we might not like, but the stuff that we absolutely love. And I think this fandom is really, really great.
Yeah, I think there's more respect in the fandom, which is nice.
Hmm.
Which could be so absent in other fandoms for sure. I feel like no matter what fandom you're in, there's always going to be like, the shadowy side of,
Yeah.
the toxic side. But you have a point. I do feel like the Owl House has reached so many people that I think, at least nowadays, definitely have more respect for each other, and we can hear each other out without, just being mean to each other. And, you can disagree and still respect the person, which I think is so important. So I agree. I think there's more health in the Owl House community than there is toxicity, I think.
Again, absolutely, that is for sure. Um, and when you were, I was watching that poster that they did live, and I know you were because when they gave that shout out
Oh
to
my
you,
god.
I saw you posting. What was kind of like because you're kind of like the main. I want to say you're one of the main generals in this fandom, and you
That
getting
is
that personal
my
shout
honor.
out from like the head of this army that is Dana Terrace. What was that emotion like seeing that live? Do you
Oh my
just like
god.
blew up?
Oh yeah, I mean, to get that kind of recognition was just mind blowing, and I didn't think it would happen. The funny thing is, me and Bill were in the chat. We were watching live,
Oh wow.
and when they shouted Bill out, I was celebrating for him because Bill is one of my good friends, and he's been on this hootie hole theory since the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
to hear Dana acknowledge that he got a part of that right was huge. And so I remember just watching and celebrating about Bill, and then the next second for her to be like, "Oh yeah, and Elijah, I love your reviews. Thank you." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like it was so unexpected, but such an amazing moment. It definitely like made my life, and I will forever cherish that clip for the rest of my entire life.
Now you had to go back a little bit. It's like, wait, she meant me, right? She's not some other Elijah out there.
Well, the crazy thing is too, it's like, yeah, first of all, Elijah's not a very common name, so that's good. But not to mention that she didn't say Not So Average Fangirl. She said Elijah. Like
Yeah,
that's
true.
my name, and so that was already pretty powerful and impactful for me. But I mean, it's just high honor, man. Just like wow. And then a part of me was like, at first I was like, oh my god, Dana Terrace to see me. She watches my reactions. And then the next part was, oh god, Dana Terrace watches my reactions. Oh shit. Because I was like, well, I hope I haven't made myself into too much of a, excited fool.
As the one Nick Cage would say, that's high praise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The highest top tier praise I could have gotten. So that made my day.
That is so awesome. I mean, and I think I have to apologize to Bill because I think in my interview with Rebecca, I think call him Third Eye Bill.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, I think I may have missaid his name.
Yeah,
I apologize
third
to
bill.
Bill. Third Bill. I called him Third Eye Bill. My bad. I want to say my bad, Bill.
Oh, no problem. I'm sure he'll be like, it's fine. You still had the third in there.
Right? I still got the third in Bill, right? And now the Owl House is not the only show that you react. There's so many other shows that you do,
Mm.
going from Shira into Arcane. What's kind of like your process when you decide to go into a show to react to? It's like, do you go by the trend? Do you go by, do a whole rewatch that I haven't watched? What was kind of like your process in that?
I'm definitely like a visual person. And also because I actually just recently started reacting to Murder Jones. I'm hoping to get that first reaction. It's already on my Patreon, but on YouTube, I'm hoping to get it up like tomorrow or something.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when it's a new show, I'll either, if it's something that I'm hearing about in my day-to-day life, that's really popular that like everyone's watching, I'll have a look. For the channel, mostly I'll go by if I see something being requested a lot, which a lot of people do send me requests and everything or post about requests. So if there's a title or a show or a movie that I keep seeing over and over and over, that'll kind of grab my attention. So I'll look into it, and that's when the kind of visual part comes into it, where
Mm-hmm.
I always want to see the style. If something
Okay.
about the style intrigues me, then I'll most of the time give it a look. Because like Murder Drones, I had no idea what that was, and when I typed it in, I saw it was these like cute little robots, and I was like, oh my god, this looks so good. And the visuals definitely caught my attention for that one. When it comes to Arcane, it was definitely the visuals, and then also everyone was telling me it was like there was something I would really like. And so I had the hunch that it was probably going to be like gay stuff, but I wasn't completely sure because at the time I wasn't reacting to too many things, so I thought maybe it was just like the style and the animation or something about it. Maybe it was like similar. So, but when I saw the visuals like of pictures and stuff, that captured my attention because like the style in Arcane is just amazing. It's like watching pictures, like a painting.
Visual art.
Oh really. Yeah, literally. And yeah, so visuals definitely play a big part, as well as is it trending, and then also as well as is it being requested a lot by my viewers.
Okay, nice. I'll put this out there. I think The Last of Us should be a video should be starting.
Oh, yeah.
Saying.
So I'm gonna play the games first.
Okay.
The Last of Us I'll be playing after I finish the Life is Strange games.
Okay.
Then I'll do The Last of Us, and then I'll do the show because I feel like everybody else played the games first before watching the show, so I kind of want to follow in what everybody else did. So some people have been telling me to just watch the show first, but I'm like, I think I'll play it first.
So I'll say this: I didn't play the game, but I knew of it, and I watched the show. And I'll tell you this: it's probably one of the best shows out there to date.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. When you get to episode 3, I'm not saying this as hyperbole. It's probably the greatest episode of television of all time.
Oh wow! Okay, that's pretty high praise.
It definitely is high praise, and I'm going back to like a lot of the Seinfeld episodes, a lot of the Sopranos episodes, a couple of House of Dragon ones. The 3rd episode, at Last of Us, my opinion, Bill and Frank, is absolutely one of the greatest piece of television ever, hands down.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, just give you something to look forward to, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I will definitely look into that more.
Now, you mentioned a little bit of your Patreon. When did you decide to start doing your Patreon? Was it a little bit after your YouTube started getting a certain amount of followers?
Yeah, it was definitely, it took a while because it wasn't something I even thought about doing. The idea came to me from the viewers. A lot of people were telling me that they wanted to see my full unedited reactions because with YouTube you have to cut out so much or strategic with it, which is unfortunate, but you know, YouTube will quickly block your videos completely or they'll demonetize it or whatever, so you have to. And so honestly, it came from the viewers. So many more and more people were telling me, you should make a Patreon, upload your full reactions, I want to see your full reactions. So I was like, okay, I didn't even know that was a thing. And so I tried it, and it's grown and it's done amazing. So I'm like, okay, yeah, here you go, full reactions, boom. That's even more content for you guys. Have that.
No, definitely. And like you said, at YouTube, you have to be very strategic on how you post things and do things. Yeah. As great as YouTube has been for you, is there, and you said in your videos before when you had to like watch your language, bleed some of the stuff out, and some of them, has it been, right? How much of a struggle is it with YouTube? Is it because that you've grown a certain amount of following? They are not attacking you, but more monitoring your channel more, or?
Well, when the language thing came out, that was specifically YouTube, and yeah, all of us definitely were upset about that. We felt like they made a huge mistake with it, and then they acknowledged that, and they said, oh, this update was more strict than we intended it to be. I don't think that's true at all. I didn't buy that bullshit. I feel like, sorry for the language, I feel like,
oh yeah, here you go, hey, fuck it, keep going.
Perfect. I felt like they did that, and then there was huge backlash, and then they wanted to fix what they did. And luckily they fixed it. It's not as strict anymore. They don't treat all swear words the same, which is great. You can still monetize with all words, even with the F word, even with fuck, as long as it's not said like throughout the majority of the video. Like you can say it a couple times and it's still fine. Right. Whereas before, even saying the word shit or, you know, bitch or anything like that was getting demonetized. It was crazy. But that was specifically YouTube. Now, when it comes to the content being demonetized or blocked, that comes from the owners of the content, I have learned. So
Mm,
for some reason, NBC Universal got really strict with my Kipo reactions.
really?
Out of nowhere, they were just blocking the smallest fragments of footage. It was the craziest thing. So that definitely got really, really frustrating, because usually if you follow the regimen of showing 10 seconds of footage at a time,
Hmm.
you're fine. That's like the secret. If you show any more than 10 seconds, it's going to demonetize or block you. And so even with following that, my Kipo reactions were just getting straight up blocked. They weren't even being demonetized. They were just being completely blocked and unviewable. So that got really, that got really frustrating. YouTube hasn't been too bad with me on that. There is some content where my monetization got limited that I think was a little BS. Like they limited one of my Heartstopper reactions and said it like wasn't suitable for all advertisers, and I said why? Because it's gay. So immediately, because there was nothing inappropriate in that episode at all, other than the
Hmm.
fact that they kissed. So I looked at
Was
that
that
like a
the
little.
was that the specific one they tried to monetize on?
Yeah, it was like
Mm.
one. They limited the thing, so I tried to appeal it, and it came back, and they said no, it's still limited monetization. I was like, wow, okay, homophobe. um, because
Show us
it's
how you
not
really
like,
are.
yeah, because it's like there's nothing inappropriate in the episode. It's not that kind of show. It's a very family friendly show.
Right.
So I don't know. And then there's just been other talks with other YouTubers that sometimes they get attacked, or not attacked, but like it just seems like YouTube can be a little sus.
Mm.
They haven't been that sus with me, just like here and there. I'm definitely glad they changed the swearing rule, because that was just ridiculous. And then yeah, it's so far it's just been NBC Universal that's been a pain in my butt.
Oh, Universal.
Oh,
Jesus.
Universal. And I used to work for them. I used to work at Universal Studios for
Oh,
four
really?
years. That was one of
Oh,
those
nice.
jobs that I had. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What were you in Universal?
I was a ride operator for the Mummy Ride.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
Now, when you when you're doing those appealing process, what's the usual process? You submit an email to them and you wait a few days, or
Yeah, so you can, when something comes up like there's copyright, or there's blocked for something, or limited monetization for something, there's an appeal button,
hmm.
and you click it. You kind of select why you're appealing it, or that you're clear on why you're appealing it, and then it sends it to somebody to get manually viewed. And so somebody from YouTube will watch it manually, and they'll make the ultimate decision of whether you get your monetization back or if it stays the way it is.
Okay. And
Yeah.
have you won a lot of those appeals, or you just lost that one so far?
No, I've lost two. I lost two
Oh,
appeals that stayed limited. The other ones I was able to get them back and restore
okay.
them. Yeah, I think sometimes their AI gets a little strict or something. And so it helps that when somebody manually watches it and reviews it, then they make the actual decision of, no, this is fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, going back a little bit to what you said about you and the other reactors, you really have grown like this little friendship of other YouTube reactors, thanks to
Yeah.
the Owl House. When it comes to you, Morgan and Bill,
Yep.
and
There's
so many.
six of us in total now.
There's what? I'm sorry.
It's six of us in total now. So in our little squad, as we like to call it, it's Tomato Sauce, the third Bill, Morgan Terry, We Last Reacts, or Moscow, Playing with Heart, Tina, and then me.
Oh, okay, nice. So it kind of like your own little hack squad you guys got there.
Oh, I love it. We just we talk all day, every day on Discord, and we've just become the best friends. We're planning to, try to meet up in person during the summer and hang out somewhere. And yeah, they're the best. I mean, it's definitely been nice to meet some people like this through this content and everything. And we all get along just so well, and we have fun doing stuff together. It's cool.
And that's awesome. And as I say, what is I was gonna ask, what does it mean to you meeting all these great people through the Owl House, and also collaborating on their own channels? Because you recently did that video for Calamity Music, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh man, that was great.
you did the No Big Deal song, which, by the
I
way,
did.
you did great. That was awesome.
Thank
Congratulations on
you.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
What has it been like that? Just collaborating with them on their other channels?
I love it. I love collaborating. I'm always open to collaborations. Well, I can't say that because there's some that I have denied just for other reasons, but for the
Hmm.
majority, like I'm very much open to collabs. And especially when it has to do with stuff that we all share and love, and it's always great. It's a good experience to meet new people, work with other people who have similar interests and whatnot. And like you said, sometimes you make friends out of it. So that's always nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome to hear. Um, I have to ask, did you ever expect your channel to get where it's at right now, or did you really kept your expectations at a minimum?
Yeah, honestly, well, to answer the first question, no, there's no way in hell I would have thought it'd grow to where it is today, especially as fast as it did.
Yeah.
Because you hear all these stories about these YouTubers, it takes a long time. And that's why I'm so grateful to the Owl House, because I feel like I piggybacked off of something that already had a large fan base.
Hmm.
So it definitely helped to push my channel upward in viewership and subscribers. And so I'll forever be grateful for that, because sometimes, when you don't have that, starting a YouTube channel could be very, very difficult. And sometimes it could be, what's the word? Oh, I lost the word. Just kind of like a downer. I forgot
Yeah.
the word I was going to actually use, but
It can be very harrowing if you think, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so it's been nice. It's been a very pleasant surprise. I didn't at all think my channel would get to where it was, especially as fast as it did. But I'm so grateful that it did, and that it has, made me fortunate enough to be able to do this for a living and have fun with it. Not a lot of people can say they do what they love. And so I feel like I'm very privileged to say that, because I do recognize that's not always the case for people,
Hmm.
which sucks. We do live in a world where I feel like people aren't free to do what they want and make a decent living. And it's sad, because then, you get people who are like, they're lacking joy and
Hmm.
energy and happiness because they're busy doing 40 hours a week working at something they don't love. So I'm just very thankful and grateful. I will forever be that. And I forget, what was the second part of your question?
um, I completely forgot. I was just so in tune and trance with your answer. It was just so great. So I believe let me just go back in my notes here for a second. Welcome to live radio, everybody. Unless you've been through this.
Right.
Yeah, just like because I just want to just actually just piggyback off in what you just said right now. For those who are starting off, this is could be a struggle for some, or just blow up for others, and some don't have that outlet or
Correct.
that escapism. Because what I like to think about you guys, the reactors, what you
Hmm.
guys do for others who, some people don't like to do YouTube or anything. They do like that 40 hours a week, and
Sure.
that's their life, and that's totally cool.
Hmm.
Some don't, but whether here or there, but you guys do provide that escapism from the
Thanks.
real world that a lot of people do need in life, because it gets them away from
Sure.
like everyday stress, struggle, and you provide like like what you said, entertainment, and it's just a fun joy that they need.
For sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, that I can relate to, because that's why I love movies and film and
Hmm.
television, because it provides that escape for me, and fan fiction as well, and reading stories and stuff. I completely relate to that. It definitely, when, especially when things aren't going right, you can escape to these other worlds and just have fun. And even if it's for a moment, it's something that helps you to feel better. So I totally understand that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you've done a lot. You've mostly done reactions. You've done a lot. Now you're doing the video game
Yeah.
streaming with your Hack Squad on there. What's kind of the next? What's your next kind of content you're looking to jump into for your channel? Is there another thing? And you do more vlogs
Yeah,
for your
I was
channel?
thinking about doing more vlogs. I mean, I'm definitely going to be vlogging the trip to MomoCon, so that would
Okay.
be a vlog coming up soon. I do have a couple snack review things on my channel, which I like. I do have a new one. Actually, this is a good little like sneak peek, I guess, or spoiler I can give for
Oh,
your viewers and listeners.
there we go. Spoiler, everybody.
I actually just finished filming the next treat box video. which is a membership, a monthly subscription box that I collaborate with, and they send me boxes like every month and do videos on. But this time, I actually filmed it with I don't know if you're familiar with my music video Naughty.
Yes, the Christmas video. Yes.
Yeah, my co-star. So Zia,
Oh, okay,
she will
nice.
be in that video, and hopefully that one I'll get up this week as well. And we had a blast. We tried snacks from Taiwan, and they were
Oh,
delicious.
nice. Now this is something you're doing with a sponsor, right?
Yes.
Now, when they reach out to you to do that, do they ask you, "Hey, you want your real, honest opinion," or do you kind of like give like the best kind of opinion you can without trying not trashing, but not bringing it down?
No, they're definitely open to just whatever I have to say and
Hmm.
whatever's my true authentic reaction. I feel like for them it kind of works out because like the taste of the snacks isn't technically really on them because they just kind of
Mm.
collect the items and put it in a box for you.
Oh, okay.
um so I've been honest most of the time. I enjoy almost everything in the boxes. Sometimes there'll be like 1 to 3 things maybe I don't like. There was one box that was just horrible, but I think maybe there was just something wrong with the chocolate because everything that I tried that was chocolate in that box was just not good. And I was honest about that in the video, and luckily they still send me boxes, so I
Oh,
guess they
hey.
don't mind it. I think it's just more exposure for their for their business, which is fine
Okay.
because I enjoy it and it's fun. I get to try snacks from around the world. Um, and yeah, and this latest one we did was really fun, so I think it makes for a good video too.
Nice. When is it dropping?
Sometime this week. I gotta finish editing it, but hopefully I will be able to get it up not too far down the line.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I have to start getting ready for my trip because I do fly out to MomoCon, I believe next week. Is it next week already? Oh my
It's
gosh.
it's gonna be right around the corner.
Yeah, next let me see here. Next, I believe Wednesday.
Okay.
I wait. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I believe next Wednesday I fly out to MomoCon.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, so my butt has got to get to editing, and it's crazy because I'm a little nervous because when I came back from missing this whole month and almost a half that I was gone because of everything happening with my family,
Hmm.
I needed to play catch up and do all these things that I was supposed to be doing and had scheduled for April.
Right.
So it's been a struggle because I'm struggling to do all that catch up, but then also trying to get ahead because I'll be gone for 5 days at MomoCon. And then when I come back, I have 3 days here, and then I'm attending another event here in Florida that is going to be about another 5 days.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, shoot, am I going to be like absent again with content? Like, I don't want people to panic or leave. And it's like, just, I'm sorry. But then after that, then I have like nothing else planned. So hopefully by then, like, I'll be able to just catch up and just do all these great video ideas I have because I have so much stuff still like in the process and everything. And it's just like, it's just been a struggle.
Oh, man. When, like you say, you had to take that time off due to everything going on with your
Yeah.
family and life. Is that a fear that if you don't put out content, you're gonna lose subscribers and then not get the
Yes.
continuing not income, but
No,
that
yeah,
continue.
income, absolutely.
Okay.
It's definitely because, this pays my bills. If I don't, keep my content up and keep the viewership up. See, that's one thing I don't necessarily like about YouTube that it really depends on viewership. Whereas
Mm,
Patreon, it's just about how many like patrons you have and it's a
right.
consistent payout. Where the struggle with YouTube is it literally just depends on how many views your videos get. And so when your videos don't do well and people don't watch them, you don't make as much and it sucks. Um, and so for me, it's definitely kind of a panic for me because I don't want people to leave because of lack of interest because I'm not posting 4 to 5 videos a week, which I think is a lot, but for some reason with some people it still doesn't seem like enough. And there's always that fear. There's always going to be that fear because it is so vital to survival as well.
Right.
And so yeah, unfortunately I'm not at Markiplier's level yet where I can miss a month and still have millions of dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's the dream, though. That's the dream.
That's the dream, man, because then I don't like see if I were to make it to, or should I say when I make it to Markiplier's level.
There you go. Not
Always got
if,
to be
when.
positive.
Yeah.
I would be more willing to post videos and risk the demonetization,
Mm.
because I do get told a lot like, oh, you can post the full reaction to this and it won't get blocked. And I'm like, true, but I'll still get demonetized. And unfortunately, I cannot afford to do all the work and then not get paid for it. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's like, it sucks because as creators, we don't want to make it about that. But at the same time, when it's all that we're doing, especially for work and, for groceries and the bills and all that, like
Yeah.
we have to take it into accountability. And so, but yeah, when I get to that level, I will gladly post things that I don't have to worry about it getting limited monetization or demonetized. For sure.
Hey, it's not if, it's when, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll get there.
Of course. You just said right now, they'll give the okay. Oh yeah, post the whole. You can post the whole reaction. When you're doing reactions to other YouTube videos, do you do you have to do the whole editing of the 10 seconds every time, or do you feel more free of? Oh, you do. Okay.
Well, it depends. It honestly depends. If the content is not necessarily owned by like a big corporation or something, usually you'll get away with it. I mean, when you're using somebody else's content, when somebody else's content gets recognized by the YouTube AI, or whatever it is that, monitors all that, it will send them a notification and let them see who's using their content, how much of their video has their content, because I get those. When people use my clips and stuff, I see everybody who uses my content and it tells me. And so I have the choice of blocking their videos or demonetizing it. I don't, because I don't care. Like, use my shit away. I don't mind it at all. I mean, as long as it's not being used for anything like inappropriate or hateful.
Right.
But yeah, so it just depends. If it's still footage, like when it comes to like Disney, when they put out trailers or episodes, like chibi episodes, sometimes it's okay. And then other times, like my Owl House trailer reaction, I believe, or one of the Owl House YouTube videos they posted, it got demonetized.
Oh, dang.
They claimed copyright on it. So it just depends, honestly. And then if it does get flagged, then I will take it to the drawing board and then start the editing process if I have to.
Good old Disney.
Yeah, gotta love it, right?
That sweet old mouse.
Yeah, right.
So when you were going through making those videos for Hasbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss, do you feel it had to be, I should probably edit in just to be respectful to the creators? Or just,
well, ironically, the creators don't mind people doing the full reactions, and other people had told me that they'll allow me to put it up and not block it, and I tried that. However, whoever owns, like whichever company it is that actually owns that footage, though, they still take the monetization though, so you'll be able to keep it up. It won't get blocked, but they still take the monetization, and that's like, and I need that. It all comes down to just really needing that.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you can put it up, but we're going to take this part from you.
Right. And then sometimes they won't take, not them specifically, but sometimes there's like companies or whatever that will take partial, like you have to share the monetization. So that's also always an option as well.
Is that a little easier pill to swallow to share instead of them taking the whole thing, or?
Yeah, it is. Like, I think one of my videos, I think there was like a track in the background that got picked up, and the owners of the track, just the revenue was split with them. It's kind of always a little sucker punch to the gut, just because you put so much work and effort into making the content, and then to then kind of technically get it taken away. It's like, damn. That's always a bummer, but it is what it is. And a lot of times I would rather just have the content up that people can enjoy anyway.
Right. I mean, it's definitely the nature of the beast as what it is now.
Yeah.
Now, is there still any major goals you're still aiming for and shooting for your channel? Or have you kind of like not peaked, but like, okay, you know what? I am where I'm at right now. Let's see where I can go from there.
Yeah, I think I'm always just like, I'm just intrigued to see the more, the where is this going to go, the bigger the better. The mystery and the excitement of how far can this go, will this go. um yeah, so it's always just like an ongoing journey that I'm excited to see where it leads, and what opportunities it may lead to. And maybe getting to meet new people and getting to do other new things, all that good stuff.
Nice. Awesome. And there's a real wrap up right here for you. What's kind of been the what has been your most enjoyable experience so far? Doing YouTube, just everything as a whole together.
Well, that's a good question. The most enjoyable, probably the meeting people, like being
Hmm.
able to meet a lot of people that you probably wouldn't have ever met in your normal day to day. I think that's one of the positives of the power of the internet. There's tons of negatives, don't get me wrong, but there's also positives, and I think that's definitely one, that you're able to connect with people around the world that you may have so much in common with and get along with so well that you typically wouldn't have been able to ever even meet them
Okay.
had the internet not existed. And so I think there's something really cool in that, and I enjoy the friends that I've made. We have such a blast playing games and talking to each other, and yeah, it's just nice. It makes for a nice experience to be able to meet new people like that.
That's awesome. Hey, Elijah, I appreciate you joining me here today. It's such a great conversation.
Of course, thank you, man. I
Oh,
really appreciate the invite.
oh, absolutely. And I'm just learning so much about you and your story, your background is just really, it's really, I'll say it's very, very inspirational.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to me that people either just don't know or don't even think is a thing. But there's a lot. I could probably write a book one day.
You probably could. I'll definitely be there buying it, hoping you can sign it for me
One day.
one day. Again, thank you so much for joining me, Elijah.
Of
Whenever you guys
course.
can follow her on YouTube at the Not So Average Fangirl. Where else can people
Yeah.
find you on social media?
If you have TikTok, I'm on TikTok under Yes I Am Elijah. That's my handle. Twitter is gonna be Not So Average Fangirl. Instagram is Not So Average Fangirl. Patreon is Not So Average Fangirl. Everything else is Not So Average Fangirl. So if you just type that in anywhere, you'll find me.
And you guys can follow me at Instagram at SamMacias5, Twitter, SamMac55, Facebook, Sam Macias, and also my YouTube channel, just Sam Macias. This has been the Talking Sam podcast here with Elijah. Again, thank you so much. I can't wait to do this again with you.
Absolutely. You let me know.
Absolutely, no problem. And guys, until next time, bye.
Bye.